كبر حزب إرترا أوشتنا بوصائن جانا حيلتات مكلخال إرترا أقدمي نملأ حزب إرترا أوشتنا بوصائن أبزوا زي ما حدش عمت زي انقع بدحان ناب عمت خلتشحن 23 أكساقاقرنا إبل أسعيبي جيقنا حيلتات مكلخال إرترا أبزن زحلفها كلتة زيادة كلتة عمتات نتببولي ترخاز الساور أسفحفها هرفان بممكات نخل قداماو تصابوتات بعوت بديهو لعلاونتن قزعتاو ملئنتن هاجر إرترا أصنعو بموحاسو موق يوهانا أقرب أبز مفلم تعمل أختي ندحنتن لعلاونتن هزب خوني نلعلاونتن قزعتاو ملئنتن هاجر ناتطابقكا نملكاو سرعات مقوام ጎዳኢ ሜላታቱን ተግባራቱን ምቅላዕ ኮነ ንለውጥ ምቅላስ ዲሞክራሲያዊ መሰልን ሃገራዊ ጉቡእን ዜግነት ምዃኑ ከስመረሉ እደሊ ጂኦግራፊያዊ አቀማምጣ ኤርትራ አመላግቦ ጋብላ ቀይሕ ባሕርን መፋሰሶ ፈለግኒልን ዕዙዝ ጂኦስትራቴጂያዊ ጂኦፖለቲካውን ጂኦቁጠባውን ዕድል ዘዋድድ ዓቢ ባህርያዊ ጸጋ እዩ إذا عبا هاجراو صقازي نتسلطون هركوتن صعرنيان حزبنا زحبحب نتعقور فتراو عقمو كما عبل زفقد بهرياون سباون صقاتات هاجر ام علام محياش من نبابر حزبي نكوعل زطاطح صبوق محدرا مزحوسو اب إرترا اب كند من قلقال معبالي اب كند دخنت هابتي اب كند ጭንቀት كسانت اب كند سئنت رهوا مسافنا نيرو نقوام زمئزاز بمحبراو وعل صياد صبوق محدرا زي سلاسل تقبراو منقستك تكل انت زخئل نيرو حزبي إرترا بزيت رطر بوحدو معرتهم كالوت هزبتات أفريقيا يكون عالم هاجرو كمعبل من نبابرو كمحيش تقبراو تكالات كهنس فتن رحوان كسفن عبي تخلو نيرو أب كندو أب زحلف ربع زمن إرترا أم من قد قلقلت تسعميدا أب كل مدايات هاجراو هيوت بقصالي كاب أزيو تحت ناب أزيو تحت درجة كتورد صنيحة إذا مجلس أزي بعلاو رئيتو زي كونس ودعو قمقام نايتا أبايتا زلو جبوت كون النتيو ناب النت أب كل تشحن أسران حادي بممزني أملكاتي سبقاو معبالة حبرات هاجرات وي UN Human Development Index إرترا كان 291 هاجرات مبل 276 سرع كلته بممزني أملكاتي متشؤنت مثل سالوانين حبرات هاجرات وي UN Ease of Doing Business إرترا كان 290 هاجرات مبل 289 سرع سلسته بممزني درجة التقلال المحدرة مو إبراهيم وي مو إبراهيم overall governance rank إرترا كاب 54 هاجرات أفريقيا مبل 50 كلتن تسرع زبيتاو كنت هاجرنا ببوليتيكاو لمست قطباو من قلقالن برتع مرقوستن كحمس كم تصنحن كنا يحمس كم زلون زك حدا يكونن إذا صعبيناتنا حماق محدرة زياتهم جاملاو فلسات دريخهم تنقنا يدرقا ملوء محبراو زرقتن سدرابيتاو فلساتن كوينهم إرترا بوزح ممزنتات تحت الدارقا كلن هاجرات أفريقيا تسريعا مهلاوا بهزاوي جبتتات زرقا قز بهلو كنتات من نبابرو هزبنا زنصبارق بزخونه وقعوي ويتدناغاصي بروباغندا كخول زيكل حقي برقص إرترا مستنقق من محدار سسان هاجراو لمعات كدرخ حبرتسب كمعبل درجة من نباور حزب كب كبل زخئل متأننيا بهرياون سبقاون صقاتات اللوا يخون امبر بتأنك حماق منقستي سان صبوق محدرة بسري كتور حسدنا ناي حدا ولقا ملاخي إرترا أمونغوتن أزين زدحرا أزين زدخيا ኣዝየን ዝተሓተ ሃገራት ዓለም ክስራዕ ኣዝዩ ዘሕፍር መብዛሕትኡ ህዝባ ኣብ ኣዝዩ ሕማቕ ኩነት ናይ ሓሳራ መከራ ክነብር ኣዝዩ ዘሕዝን ኩንነት እዩ። ኣብዚ መበል 21 ዘመን ብመቑነን ናይ ኩፖን ዝቕለብ ህዝቢ ኤርትራ ጥራይ እዩ። ንህዝቡ ከም ብቑዕ ክንክን ጥዕና፣ ግቡእ ትምህርቲ፣ ኣገልግሎት ኢንተርኔት፣ ዝስተ ማይ፣ ዝብላዕ ምግቢ፣ መብራህቲ፣ ፀዓት፣ መንበሪ ኣባይቲ ወዘተ ዝኣመሰሉ ኣድለይቲ ማሕበራዊ ኣገልግሎታትን ህዝባዊ ኣቑሑን ከቕርብ ዘይክእል ወይ ዘይደሊ እዚ ኣብ ኤርትራ ዘሎ ስርዓት ጥራይ እዩ። ኮነ ኢሉ ህዝቡ ዝበታትን ኣብ እዋን ተዛማዲ ሰላም ኣፍራይ ሓንጎልን ዓያይ ጉልበትን መንእሰያት ኣብ ሕጋዊ ገደቡ ዝጠሓሰ ደረት ኣልቦ ሃገራዊ ኣገልግሎት ዘባኽን እዚ ኣብ ኤርትራ ዘሎ ስርዓት ጥራይ እዩ። ንሰመዚ መንግስትን ተራ ዜጋታትን ብዘይ ሕጋዊ ኣገባብ ዝኣስርን ብዘይ ክሲ ኮነ ፍርዲ ንዘይተወሰነ እዋን ዝምቁሕን እዚ ኣብ ኤርትራ ዘሎ ስርዓት ጥራይ እዩ። ነቲ ነዊሕ እዋን ዝፀንሐ ኣዋጣሪ ሕፅረት መንበሪ ኣባይቲ ዘጋድድ ንልዕሊ 16 ዓመታት ዝቕፅል ዘሎ እገዳ ህንፀት ኣባይቲ ዘስገድድ እዚ ኣብ ኤርትራ ዘሎ ስርዓት ጥራይ እዩ። ሕንሕነ ናይቶም ኣብ እዋን ግፋእ ኣብ ገዝኦም ዝሰኣኑ ውሉዳት መንበሪ ኣባይቲ ስድሮኦም ብምዕሻግ ንምልእቲ ስድራ ቤት ምስ ህፃውንታ ናብ ፅርግያ ዝድርቢ እዚ ኣብ ኤርትራ ዘሎ ስርዓት ጥራይ እዩ። ኣብ ኤርትራ ሎሚ ዳርጋ ኩሉ ሰብ ተራ ዜጋ ይኹን በዓል ስልጣን መንግስቲ ደላይ ለውጢ እዩ፣ ብዝቐልጠፈ ዝበለፀ። ኣብዝሓ ህዝቢ ኤርትራ ኮነ ሰበስልጣን መንግስቲ ንኣመና ነዊሕ እዋን ብስግኣት ሃገራዊ ድሕነትን ኣንጸላላዊ ደመና ኩናትን ዝተጎልበበ ኣረሜናዊ መድቆስትን ሜላ ማኣቂልካ ግዛአን ብዝሰስረፆ ፍርሕን ሓድሕዳዊ ዘይምትእምማንን ጅሆ ተታሒዙ ፀኒሑን ኣሎን። ብዝተረፈ በቲ ህልው ዝቤታዊ ኩንንነት ኮነ ኣህጉራዊ ቁመና ኤርትራ ምናልባት ኣዝዮም ውሕዳት እንተዘይኮይኑ ዕጉብ ወይ ሕጉስ የለን። ከመይ ኢሉ ሞ መብዛሕትኡ ኤርትራዊ በቲ ኣብ ሃገሩ ዘሎ ሕማቕ ሰብኣዊ ኩነት ሕጉስ ክህሉ? ካብ ከምዚ ዝኣመሰለ ኣደራዕ መድቆስቲ ምንቁልቋልን ድኽነትን ንምግልጋል እንታይ ክግበር ይግባእ? ብቐዳምነት ብኤርትራዊ ዋንነት ዝሰላሰል ሃገር በቆል ለውጢ ንምድራኽ ዝሕግዝ ኩሉ ዝከኣል ፃዕሪ ምግባር። ካልኣይ ቆዋማዊ ምሕደራ ምትካል፣ ግዝኣቲ ሕጊ ምስፋን፣ ኣቃዋማ ማሕበራት መንግስቲ ምትዕርራይ፣ ሓድሕዳዊ መዝነታት ቀንዲ ጨናፍር ኣካላትን ትካላትን መንግስቲ ተሓታትነት ብዘረጋግፅ ኣገባብ ተግባራዊ ምግባር። ሳልሳይ ቅልጡፍ ሕውየትን ሰሳኒ ልምዓትን ዝድርኽ ሓድሽ ቁጠባዊ ምሕደራ ምትእትታው፣ ኣብ ኣሰራርዓ ቅርፅን ኣመሓዳድራን ቁጠባዊ ትካላት፣ ኣብ መዝነታት ብሕታውን መንግስታውን ፅላታት፣ ኣብ ተገባብሮ ሓይልታት ማእቶትን ዝምድናታት ማእቶትን ለውጢ ምምፃእ። ራብዓይ ልዕላውነትን ግዝኣታዊ ሙሉእነትን ኤርትራ ኮነ ምስ ኩለን ጎረባብቲ ሃገራት ነባሪ ሰላምን ምሕዝነታዊ ዝምድናን ብዘውሕስ ኣገባብ ኣህጉራዊ ዶባት ኤርትራ ምምልካት፣ ብፍላይ ምስ ኢትዮጵያ ብክልተኣዊ ስምምዕ ብመሰረት መግዛእታዊ ውዕላት ምስ መምርሕታት ኮሚሽን ዶብ ኤርትራን ኢትዮጵያን ብዘሳኒ መንገዲ ነቲ ዶብ ምድራትን ብቕልጡፍ ምምልካትን ስዒቡ ሰራዊታት ኤርትራን ኢትዮጵያን ኣብቲ ነናቶም ወገን ናይቲ ሓበራዊ ዶብ ምውፋር። ምዝ ኣተሓሒዘ ኩሉ ሓርነት ፍትሕን ረህዋን ህዝቢ ኤርትራ ዝምነ ሃገራዊ ኤርትራዊ ደጋፊ ተቃዋሚ ይኹን ስቕተኛ ተዓዛቢ ብዘየገድስ ሓደ ንረብሓ ህዝቢ ኤርትራን ሃገሪ ኤርትራን ክጣበቕ፣ ክልተ ኣብ ኤርትራ ግዝኣቲ ሕጊ ዝኽተል ፍትሒ ዘመሓድር ሓርነትን መሰላትን ዜጋታት ዘውሕስ ቆዋማ ምሕደራ ንምትካል ክሰርሕ፣ ሰለስተ ሓቋፊ ልምዓት ዝድርኽ ሃብቲ ዝፈጥር ረህዋ ዘስፍን ቁጠባዊ ምሕደራ ንምምፃእ ብንጥፈት ክቃለስ፣ ኣርባዕተ ንዝኾነ ኣንጻር ህዝቢ ኤርትራን ሃገሪ ኤርትራን ዝቐንዕ ባዕዳዊ ተፃብኦ ይኹን ህላዊያዊ ስግኣት ብትሪ ክቃወም ብፁእ ሞራላዊ ሓላፍነት ከም ዘለዎ እዘኻኽር። ኣህጉራዊ ከም ብወገኑ ሓደ ነቲ ብክልተኣዊ ስምምዕ ክፍጸም ዝግባእ ምድራትን ምምልካትን ዶብ ኤርትራን ኢትዮጵያን ክድግፍን ኣብ ምስላጡ ክትሓባበርን። 2 ሙዙን ዘይሻራዊ መርገፂ ብምሓዝ ንመዋቕራዊ ቅልውላው ኢትዮጵያ ኣብ ግዝኣቲ ሕጊ ዝምርኮስ ንኹሎም ተቐናቐንቲ ሓይልታት ኢትዮጵያ ዝሓቁፍ ተሓታትነት ዘረጋግፅን ፍትሒ ዘመሓድርን ነባሪ መዕለቢ ኣብ ምንዳይ ከም ቁኑዕ መንጎኛ ወይ ኦነስት ብሮከር ሃናፂ ተራን ክፃወት እማሕፅን። ኣብ መወዳእታ 2023 ዓመተ ሰላም፣ ዓመተ ለውጢ፣ ዓመተ ፍትሒ፣ ዓመተ ረህዋ ክትኮንልና እትምነ። ርሑስ ሓድሽ ዓመት 2023 ዕድመ ንናፃ ልዑላዊት ሃገረ ኤርትራ ዘለኣለማዊ ሓበን ንጀጋኑ ሰማዕታትና ፈጣሪ ንኤርትራን ህዝባን ይባርኽ። My fellow Eritreans at home and abroad, gallant Eritrean Defense Forces. On the eve of the new year, I begin my message by welcoming the entire people of Eritrea at home and abroad to a safe transition to the year 2023. I also extend warm congratulations to the gallant Eritrean Defense Forces for foiling the expansionist designs driven by an outdated narrative, successfully challenging all external machinations and safeguarding the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the state of Eritrea. At the outset, I would like to underscore that to oppose an autocratic regime, to expose its harmful policies and practices, and to fight for change while advocating for the sovereignty and security of the people and the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the state of Eritrea is a democratic right and a national responsibility of citizenship. Eritrea's geographic location at the junction of the Red Sea and Nile River basins is a great natural asset that lends it significant geostrategic, geopolitical, and geoeconomic prospects. With the complement of good governance that caters to the needs of our civilized, illustrious, and hard-working people, this great national asset would allow the development of their creative potential, facilitate the use of the nation's natural and human resources for the improvement of the people's standard of living, and generate development rather than regression, wealth rather than poverty, placidity rather than depression, and prosperity rather than privation. Were the Eritrean people able to establish a functional government committed to the rule of law, bound by a social contract, and exercising good governance, they had undoubtedly a great potential to develop their country, improve their livelihood, build functional institutions, and ensure justice and prosperity, at least on par with the other peoples of Africa and the world. Instead, Eritrea has, during the last quarter century, been condemned to regress on a downward slide in all spheres of national life, constantly descending from the lower to the lowest rungs of the development ladder. This statement is not a subjective opinion, but an objective assessment of the concrete reality on the ground. For instance, in 2021, the UN Human Development Index ranks Eritrea 176th out of 191 countries. 2. The UN Ease of Doing Business ranks Eritrea 189th out of 190 countries. And 3. The Mo Ibrahim Governance ranks Eritrea 52nd out of 54 African countries. It cannot be denied that the domestic reality of our country has been characterized by political paralysis, economic decline, and severe repression. These consequences of bad governance have driven mass exodus and caused the disruption of the very fabric of society and the virtual disintegration of the nuclear family. that Eritrea ranks at the bottom of the development scale among virtually all African countries according to several criteria is a fact corroborated by statistical evidence, reflected by the living conditions of the Eritrean people, and impossible to hide by official or apologetic propaganda. Certainly, Eritrea possesses adequate natural and human resources which, with prudent management, are capable of crystallizing sustainable national development, attaining social progress, and uplifting the standard of living of the people. However, it's quite shameful to find Eritrea ranked among the world's most regressive, poorest, and lowest countries, and a sad reality to see its people live under a dismal state of misery due to bad governance, lack of good governance, and the rapid malevolence of an autocrat. In this 21st century, it's only the people of Eritrea who depend on coupon rations for their daily sustenance. It's only the regime in Eritrea that's unable or unwilling to deliver vital social services and public goods, such as adequate health care, proper education, internet service, potable water, edible foodstuffs, power, energy, housing, etc. to its people. It's only the regime in Eritrea that deliberately pushes the dispersion of its people and squanders the productive brain and labor of its youth in an indefinite national service at a time of relative peace in violation of its legal limits. It's only the regime in Eritrea that jails ordinary citizens and government officials without due process and condemns them to indefinite detention without charge or court ruling. It is only the regime in Eritrea that has imposed ban on housing construction for over 16 years and counting, aggravating a long-lasting acute shortage of living quarters. It's only the regime in Eritrea that evicts whole families, including children, from their homes, throws them out to the street, and seals their homes shut in retaliation for children not found at home during house search for recruitment to national service. Almost everyone in Eritrea today, whether an ordinary citizen or a government official, wants to see change in the country. The sooner, the better. For far too long, most of the Eritrean people and government officials have been held hostage through fear and reciprocal distrust instilled by brutal repression and a policy of divide and rule, shrouded in threats to national security and hovering war clouds. Otherwise, there may be only very few Eritreans who are happy or content with the prevailing domestic reality or the international status of Eritrea. How can most Eritreans be happy with the present dismal human condition in the country? What must be done to break free from such fetters of repression, regression, and poverty? First and foremost, make all possible effort to help crystallize Eritrean-owned and homegrown change. Second, establish constitutional governance, institute rule of law, reform the composition of the government apparatus, render functional the respective mandates of the principal branch, organs, and institutions in a manner that ensures accountability. Third, introduce new economic governance that promotes rapid recovery and sustainable development. Bring about change in the arrangement, structure, and management of economic enterprises, in the mandates of the public and private sectors, in the interaction of the forces of production and the relations of production. Fourth, demarcate Eritrea's international borders in a manner that safeguards its sovereignty and territorial integrity and ensures durable peace and friendly relations with all neighboring countries. With Ethiopia in particular, agree bilaterally to delimit and expeditiously demarcate the boundary based on the colonial treaties and in accordance with the demarcation directions of the Eritrea-Ethiopia Boundary Commission. The Eritrean and Ethiopian armies should then redeploy to their respective sides of the common border. In this connection, I would like to remind all patriotic Eritreans, whether supporters, opponents, or silent spectators, who wish freedom, justice, and prosperity for the Eritrean people, that they have a moral responsibility, or a noble moral responsibility to 1. Advocate for the interests of the Eritrean people in the state of Eritrea. 2. Work for the establishment of constitutional governance in Eritrea that applies rule of law, administers justice, and safeguards the basic rights and fundamental freedoms of its citizens. 3. Actively fight for the constitution, actively fight for the institution of economic governance that promotes inclusive development, produces wealth, and creates prosperity. 4. Firmly oppose any foreign hostility or existential threat directed against the people and the state of Eritrea. I would also like to remind the international community on its part to 1. Support the would-be bilateral agreement to delimit and demarcate the Eritrea-Ethiopia boundary and cooperate towards its facilitation. 2. Adopt a balanced, non-aligned stance to play a constructive role as an honest broker in the search for durable resolution to Ethiopia's structural crisis based on the rule of law that embraces all stakeholders, ensures accountability, and administers justice. Finally, I wish the year 2023 will be a year that heralds peace, change, justice, and prosperity. Happy New Year 2023. Long live an independent sovereign state of Eritrea. Eternal glory to our martyrs. God bless Eritrea and its people.